Welcome to Carter's Corner, and I am Travis Carter. Today, this is the first show, so I do have to express my joy and excitement of being able to do this show today. A lot of people have put a lot of hard work into this, so first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone. All opinions on this show are the opinions of the person that is speaking in the show, not the stations, not the radios, and not the board of directors or the members. The best thing about this show, it is purely unedited, unfiltered. Everything is natural and everything will be getting discussed. I do not want any filtering on this show whatsoever. So I just want to say a massive thank you to 897 for giving me the opportunity for doing this show. We're going to go into a song and then Carter's Corner is going to start for real.
89.7, you're back here with Carter's Corner, and I'm Aaron, and I'm pressing the buttons today, but we have the gentleman in front of me right now who is in control, and that can only be a dangerous thing. Mr.
Very
Carter.
dangerous. Thank you very much for that glorious intro, Aaron. It's awesome. So today has been a bit of a brainchild of mine for a while, and I'm super stoked to get here. So just so everyone's aware of what the format's going to be, we've got 3 guests for today. We've got Bruce Reynolds, which will be coming through on the phone after the next lot of songs. We've got Bain, who will also be coming through on the phone.
Great.
And we've actually got David Ho, who will be joining us in the studio later this evening.
Fantastic. Now, these people, why are they in the studio, mate? What's the occasion?
The big political thing at the moment in WA, besides the Mark McGowan, the border lockdowns and all that, is we've actually got the Perth City Mayor elections coming up this weekend.
It's a biggie.
It's a very big one, considering everything that happened with Lisa, the corruption allegations, the charges and all that sort of stuff. She ended up being removed. And for a long time, we actually didn't actually have a Lord Mayor. So this one is going to be huge. So a lot of people are throwing a lot of money around for it. A lot of allegations have been thrown at people, and it's been surprisingly a little bit tame. I thought there'd be a lot more in the news, and there hasn't. And we also had a bit of a superstar throw his hat in the ring for it, the good old Basil Zemplis. I did reach out to him to see if he would come into the studio, but obviously he didn't respond. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So, yeah, I'm super amped about having a chat to Bruce.
I just think it's, sorry to interrupt you, I was just going to say, I just think it's a fantastic thing to give each of the candidates their opinion and their time. I think that's really important. I think that so often in anything in life, particularly politics, you hear just one side, one narrative. So, hearing from each of these individuals, I think it's a great thing. We can see something really balanced this way. Yeah,
it's giving them a platform that, like I said in the intro, it's unedited, it's unfiltered, there's no biasness in it. It's a clean slate for them to be able to pretty much say anything they want, like obviously within reason.
Yeah.
And for them to be able to really express themselves truly without trying to, there's this agenda or that agenda or something like that, and you don't have Facebook filtering and saying who can promote and who can't. So this just gives them a chance.
It's a conversation. It's a conversation. So, sorry, again, mate, I'm butting all over you there. I know. Just a terrible but.
We'll get better.
We will. But here's the thing, I'm with that but again. I think it's great because this is a way of the community being able to reach out to these people, okay?
Spot on.
I think it's a really great link. It's, as I say, you were saying before, it's not through, sort of highly organised media or Facebook filters and all that kind of carry on. This is a way you can actually talk to the candidates. So I think it's amazing. Great opportunity.
Now, talking of the community, we have opened up the text lines for people to be able to message through questions, inquiries and all that sort of stuff. So obviously the text line is the same for music request line is 0418 897 897. We have got the phone lines working. Unfortunately, we can't take phone questions at the same time while we're talking to Bruce and Di. So the phone line is 08 for people that don't live in WA, because this will be going live at 897fm.com.au. Click the listen live button, then press the play button. So the phone number is 086244 3322, and you will come through on the telephone in the studio. Now, heads up, this is kind of new systems for us. So if we accidentally hang up on you, we didn't do it intentionally. We're not trying to filter you. It's just fat fingers and we press the wrong
my
button.
fingers are the fattest in town. Make no mistake about it. I think the best way to get hold of us is jump on that text line, 0418 897 897. Send through your question there, and we can throw it to these ladies and gents and see what we can come up with.
Oh, fantastic. So what we'll do now, we'll go chuck a song on, and we'll get Bruce on the phone, and then we'll take it from there.
Fantastic. It is 12 after 8, 89.7.
All right, this is Travis Carter's Corner. Oh, stuff that. Carter's Corner. We have Bruce on the telephone here. So Bruce Reynolds is the candidate for the mayor, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, you're also a candidate for the councillor position. Bruce.
Yeah, hi Travis, how are you going? Yeah, that's correct, mate.
Fantastic.
100%. Put my hat in the ring for both.
Excellent. So just before we get into the questions, we also have Aaron on the desk, making sure all the levels and everything are correct. And I do need to stress that any opinions on this show are the opinions of the people giving them. The board from 89.7 do not have any influence on what's going on. This isn't the opinion of members, and also the presenters. The opinions given are of the opinions of the person that's giving them. So it's just one of those things we have to do for security and whatnot and all that other jazz. So we've got Bruce on the line here. Bruce, tell us why the mayor and why the councillor?
Well, effectively, I'm at a stage of my life, Travis. I'm 49. Started working as a 15-year-old, did my apprenticeship in the city of Perth, and slowly quickly worked myself through my apprenticeship, and then started doing production managing. At 24, started my first business, and luckily enough, I've just worked through my business career and journey, and now currently have three businesses that I've had for some time. And along with that, maybe 20 years ago, so 24 years ago, I started my first business. About 20 years ago, I started getting involved quite heavily with non-for-profits and helping through Heart and Hands all the way through from volunteer up to chair and board and chair levels, that sort of thing. And really, I've had a fantastic, I guess, fulfillment out of being involved with the community at that level. And this sort of came about, and as I was watching the campaign unfold, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's a bit like a moth to a flame. Something just didn't feel right, and I can't put words to that exactly, but I've just felt compelled. If I wasn't happy with the process, then I felt compelled to put my hand up.
Well, the only way you can change, especially a lot of these political issues going across Australia at the moment, the only way to change a lot of these issues are to actually get involved. One thing I've noticed personally, not many people are actually prepared to put their hand up and get involved. So that's a massive effort from your part, especially considering the risk to your own personal business and stuff like that. So looking from the City of Perth perspectives, what's one of the biggest things that you feel that needs to be modified and changed to make Perth a better city?
Well, for Perth, I mean, I'm a proud West Australian and I'm a proud Perth person. So when I do hear other candidates really run down Perth as a city, it makes me want to put the gloves on. I think we live in a great city, and we've got lots and lots of opportunity in the city. We do, without a doubt, though, have challenges, and those challenges have been building up for a while, and they've been compounded further with COVID, but not just COVID as we currently see it, but the fallout over the next 3 or 4, maybe 5 years of COVID. Mm-hmm. So we have to really address those challenges front on and not pretend that they don't exist or don't have the foresight to understand how that may look and how we will need to tackle those issues. So for me, our retail sector, obviously that's been, that's gone through 3 phases over perhaps since the 1950s. Big chain supermarket type boxes came into existence, and our elongated coastline meant that our shopping precincts got further and further away from the nucleus of the city. We've had situations through 2014 when we've started our version of the fallout of the GFC, which hit us a little bit later than the rest of the world, but there's no doubt from 2014 to now that's been a real thing. And then we've had the online shopping explosion. And all those things have eroded what effectively is a strong retail precinct. So we need to look at ways to revitalise that. We need more footfall. We need, there's talk about, getting our city as a city of 90,000 residents or 80 to 90,000 residents by 2050. That's not going to happen by itself. And at the moment, the offering isn't strong enough in certain ways from a livability point of view. The Perth city didn't evolve the way a lot of great cities around the world did. We were a freeway, effectively, a water freeway built on swamps and lakes. And, we perhaps do need to reverse engineer some playgrounds, some schools, some primary schools, those sort of type amenities. to make it a more livable city for families.
Okay, now, Bruce, if I could just throw something in there, just with that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just going back to the retail sector, because to me that's obviously the heart of Perth. I think that's what brings people in. What improvements, what changes would you make that would actually bring people back into the city?
Well, the first thing I'd look at would be a legislative thing. So the Retail Tenancy Act is a 1985 document that if you've ever read through it or flicked through it, that's probably as far as you'd get because it's pretty cumbersome. But to probably put it in different terms, if you were to buy a retail building or a commercial office space or a retail office space in the city, an offer and acceptance is 2 or 3 pages and that's it, buy and gone. When you go into a lease agreement, the Retail Tenancy Act effectively means that you're locked into that agreement for 5 years. And it's instead of being 2 or 3 pages long, if you ever looked at a commercial agreement, it's written by lawyers, and it's quite thick. I've seen 2 inch and a half, 2 inch thick documents. So we need to look at drop-in type leases where people can effectively try out their business dream, have it for a year to 18 months, and then if it hits the fan, they feel like they can get out of it. But there's nothing worse than when you've put your blood, sweat and tears into a business idea, $100,000 into fit out, and then who knows what the business idea is, but there's a lot of capital that goes into that and a lot of risk.
So to bring that communal, sorry, go on.
Yep. So on top of that, then you've got a 5-year lease hanging over your head. That even if your business doesn't make it, and how risky businesses are, then you've still got this 5-year lease that you're responsible for. So that's one thing, because we'll need to create 1 or 2 or 3 shops turns into 4 or 5 or 6 shops, but it also works in reverse. When you've got 1 or 2 or 3 shops fall over, well, then the others follow suit. Then you've got down at Langley Park, people bring people. So down at Langley Park, we've got this amazing quay which we built, which cost us a fortune, and you go down there and it's effectively a concrete jungle with a couple of big buildings next to it. We need to have activation down there. And if you go to places like South Bank over in Brisbane, a river that's nowhere near as beautiful as our river, and we're so disconnected with Langley Park and the area all the way up to the hill to, say, St George's Terrace. So for mine, we need to have activity down there. South Bank's a fantastic model where they'll have paddle pools and man-made beaches and cafes, but then that's not enough as well. We need a transport hub from the top of, say, town hall that can get people down to that area very quickly, whether they're trams, whether they're outdoor escalators, or whether they're shuttles. That's for someone smarter than me to work out. But if you were to walk in your lunch break down to that precinct and back,
Yep.
It's going to take
Bruce,
you longer than half an hour.
We are sort of kind of running out of time on this one. So we do have a few questions that have come through. The first one, you were talking about the stresses on the families, especially with COVID-19 coming through. One of the people who have messaged through earlier today wanted to ask you, what are your plans to try and get people off the streets, especially with the stresses what's been going on with COVID, causing a lot of stress within the family units. A lot more people are breaking up, and there's a lot of people who are ending up homeless because of loss of jobs, loss of home, and a lot of this is caused by the COVID side of things. What can the City of Perth do to help ease the homeless stress on the homeless people within the Perth city?
Yeah, good question. I guess the first part of that is at the moment there's around about 500 to 1,000 people who are doing it rough on the streets in Perth, and the number, if you include, people that are couch surfing and those sorts of things, then go up to the many thousands. But if we talk about the extreme level of homeless, those who are doing it rough, that 500 to 1,000.
Actually, I'm looking at the figures. Apparently, we've got 9,000, approximately 9,000 across WA, and just sleeping rough, in the CBD area, I guess, it's 1,000. It's amazing. It's a terrible number.
Mate, this time next year, brace yourself, and in the next 2 or 3 years, if we don't get our services right, and if we don't get that upstream right, which is the critical part of this conversation, the City of Perth is right at the bottom of the stream, where the logjam, where everyone who's fallen down through the cracks, who have gone from if you can imagine like a ladder, just those steps all the way down. Those who end up in the city do so because it's one of it is a point of refuge. It is one of the safest places, just through lighting and amenities, all the services which are from drug rehabilitation services, outreach services, food services, blankets, and all those sorts of things. A lot of those places are aggregated into the city, so that's why Perth, the city proper, becomes such a I guess the last port of call for those who have gone down that run.
So we understand that side of things, how they get there and how they've fallen through the cracks. But what can the Perth City do if you're elected to help these people to effectively replace the rungs on that ladder for them to start climbing themselves out of homelessness?
Yep. So one thing and I'll preface this with it's complex, and if I was to say I've got all the answers, then I'd be lying through my teeth. But
at least you're honest with that. So
I'd rather someone say I don't know the answer than make one up. Quite frankly, that's refreshing in politics. Very good.
I think you would probably be the first truthful politician out there, to be honest with you.
Now, can I throw something too into this little barrel of fun? When it comes to the homelessness, obviously we've got a massive problem in Western Australia, a absolutely huge meth issue within our state. What do you have any thoughts, any plans that could basically help with that, reducing that, and obviously because a lot of the people that we have on the street are addicted to this horrible thing,
and it's getting worse. I live in the city, and I've seen just in the last 3 months. I don't know what's going through the system at the moment, but at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday night, beautifully dressed kids. Totally out of it, zonked, and I've not seen that my whole life in the city. I know that, and I don't know what they're on, but you're sort of keeping an eye on them because you want to see if they're okay, and that's been over a 3-month period that I've noticed that. So I don't know the reason for that. What we can do as the city, we need to get proactive. Obviously, it's a policing and state issue first and foremost, but as a city and as the rest of the state, we need to look at ways that we all can collaborate on the area of homelessness and on the area of security and crime and drugs within our city.
Okay. I've been asked a question about some of those people who are in that sort of space, if you like, and apparently, and this is what I don't understand. Okay, apparently the price of meth has gone through the roof. So I'm wondering why. It doesn't make sense if something the cost has gone up so dramatically, why we're seeing so many people out there on the streets who are on it.
Could it be that a lot of these people who are homeless because the JobKeeper and Job Seeker payments have gone through the roof? Like, it's astronomical. This is just a quick guess here. Do you think it's possible that these additional government payments, all these people that are in these homelessness, high-risk categories have all this extra surplus of money, and also with the drug addictions that they might have, they've now got access to a lot more money to be able to buy a lot more drugs?
Yeah, and for me it's worse than that. It's exactly along those lines from what I can tell from the outside looking in. But also you've got kids who, same thing, they've got more income that have come in, but they've also got less things that they can spend that income on. And they've got more time on their hands. So what will happen is they could quite likely try things that they haven't tried before. And that's if something like the scourge in our society can take a stockbroker who's got 3 kids and lives in a beautiful leafy suburb. If we can take him down the path in 6 months, what's it going to do to an 18 or 19-year-old kid who doesn't have any support mechanisms in place to deal with something like that? Because it is, it's a highly lethal concoction and an addiction that grabs people quite quickly. So it's not there's again no easy fix, but we have to stop putting our head in the sand and ignoring it because it's not going to go away.
Okay. One last question I do have, and this is a question of myself. So I watched what happened with the previous Lord Mayor, Lisa Scafidi. I think that's how you pronounce her last name.
Lisa Scafidi, yes.
Yeah. Huge amounts of corruption allegations. It was just a dog's breakfast, to be honest with you. Do you find that Perth City is, especially the government side of things, has lost a lot of their trustworthiness, especially when it comes to transparency on things like political donations and how much money all of the candidates are using to actually run their campaigns? And also on top of that, where the money is coming from?
Well, according to the electoral, not the electoral commission, there's a disclosure section on the Perth City Council's website where anything that you receive, it's a gift or a donation that you need to disclose.
Yep.
And one of the candidates had quite a sizable set of donations through the contacts, and it's public knowledge. So
over 102,000. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. But to her credit, she disclosed everything that she needed to disclose and was very transparent about that.
Yep. So Di has done phenomenal on the fundraising side of things. I'll have to give her that one. I've actually got the form in front of me here. It's called Electoral Gift Registration, and the form number is 051020. There's another councillor candidate here, Teo Fang Xiao. I think that's how you say it. Leah.
Yep.
I'm having a look at here. She's a councillor, so her name's in brackets, Leah, then her surname's XIA. The biggest thing, the disparity I'm seeing between her donations and Diane Bain's is Bain's, every single one is the donors stating it, Diane stating how much of the money. It's all accounted for. The bit that concerns me on this one, Leah, most of the people that are donating money to her are not disclosing their name, their family name, or the reason why they're donating the money, or the reason why they're withdrawing all this, withholding all this information. The other thing here, she's also received money from a couple of places here. For example, the Mirage Palace, which in 2017 got raided for drug trafficking and prostitution. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to find out if there was any charges laid, but they have been raided in the past for potential organised crime offences. Is there anything that, as a new mayor, if you win, that you can do to start making the whole process more transparent so the voters in Perth actually know what they're actually voting for?
So when you say what they're voting for, just how does that
who they're voting for?
Who they're voting for?
Yeah.
Okay. Mate. I couldn't even begin to answer that in regards to that candidate you're talking to. I have met her briefly at one of the functions. Seems like a nice young girl. So I don't know what connections there are. I think if anything, some of that stuff that you just mentioned might be her being naive in regards to knowing how to fill those forms out. Mm-hmm. I really don't know. And in regards to the connections 2017. I couldn't answer. You'd have to ask her that directly.
I have tried. She didn't answer. She didn't respond to my invites to come across it. So that's all good.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm trying to tiptoe around it. It's just that I don't know, so I'm not even going to try and guess.
Yeah, to be honest with you, if it is a question where you don't know the answer to, I'd much rather a don't know than a made-up question, the made-up answer.
Absolutely. No. All right, guys, I'm going to cut you short for a tick. We need to go pay some bills. So with that, I think we'll be back in just a tick on 89.7.
Carter's Corner, back here again. I am your host, Travis Carter. We have Bruce Reynolds on the phone and also Aaron. So, Bruce, take it away.
Okay. So any more questions, or am I wrapping up?
We're wrapping this one up for now because we're on time restraints. This is the first show. We got a little bit carried away there. So, yeah, it's...
All right, guys. Well, look, appreciate you having me on and throwing me some nice curly ones. The harder the better, because at the end of the day, we need people who can be accountable and will speak truthfully and directly down the lens of a camera and give people, good, fair, honest feedback. I think that's what we should get from all our political figures, and I certainly don't include myself as a political figure. I'm just a regular person, community-minded business person who has decided that enough's enough. I want to make some changes in regards to knowing what's going on from within, instead of standing out from outside and casting aspersions. I know that I'm 100%. I have no issues with any conflicts. I know my level of integrity will stand the test because obviously I know myself inside out, and I think it's just time that we had less politics in local government, which is going to be a big ask.
So from our point of view, Bruce, You've been an absolute pleasure to have on the show, so thank you very much for coming in. Listen live on 897fm.com.au, and if you do have any questions, flick them through on the text line for us on 0418 897 897. So we're going to cut to another song, and after that we'll have David Ho in the studio with us live as well. So Bruce, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with the show.
Thanks,
You
Bruce.
too. Bye. All right, so we're... Well done, Aaron. You just cut my mic.
No, I did, my friend, but I actually went to the song and the computer has gone a bit strange. But okay,
awesome.
We'll get that.
The start button helps. So, we're going to cut to a song now once the computer wakes up, and then we'll have David Ho in the studio with us here as well.
Oh, we're right in the fantasy world right now. 11 minutes to 9 o'clock. It's Carter's Corner. Aaron Malloy talking at the moment, and I'm going to hand it over to the boy himself, Travis Carter.
Oh, thanks. The boy.
The boy.
37, you're calling me
The
a boy.
man,
That's
the legend. What can I say?
better. The myth. No. Come on, this serious show. We've got to be serious.
Absolutely.
All right, so we've been having a chat we just got off the phone to Bruce Reynolds, who is a mayor candidate. So going down the smaller end of town, or just as important though, we've got David Ho, who is running as a councillor candidate for the upcoming Perth election. So say hello to everyone, David.
Good evening, listeners. I'm David Ho.
Fantastic. So, David, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you decided to run as a candidate, and what you hope to achieve if you are successful.
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me tonight. My name is David Ho, and I've been running a small business in the Perth CBD over the last few years. And I have seen the up and downs and the goods and bads of what's been happening in the city development. And I always believe that there is always rooms for further improvement. And being a person have a wide community experience, and I would like to offer my talent and time. So that's why I run for the councillor this time in the election 2020.
Fantastic. So if you are successful in becoming a councillor, what do you think you can bring to Perth that the other councillors can't bring?
I'm not so sure whether other councillor can bring, but I'm very strong in looking in the situation. Say, for example, under the pandemics, a lot of people are out of work, right? That's a very important issue. So I would, if I am being elected as a councillor, I will try to, propose a stimulus package for people to more easy to set up business in the city of Perth. And the reason is that we can offer them concession in some other, in different parts of, of the fields, in order to let more business can set up. And then that means they will create more employment, more jobs.
Definitely.
Yeah, but obviously, to provide this situation, we also have to I will also propose some other formula or other suggestions, policies to support it.
Okay.
Now, David, you've been in Perth 40 years, is that right?
Yeah, nearly 40 years.
Fantastic,
yeah.
mate. That's so, and basically in the centre of Perth for much of that, I guess?
Not quite, but for over the last 10 years, I've been in the CBD. Yeah.
I think that makes you a local. I reckon.
Yeah, I'm
far
definitely.
more than I am, that's for sure.
I'll be honest with you, I hate going into the CBD. It's just too busy for me.
God.
I'm a country boy through and through.
That's like Country Boy 101.
Okay.
To me, it's a big thing. If you're living in that environment, that's your world. You're far more in touch with it. I've never met you before tonight, but I think that that's a big part of it. If you know the community, if you know the businesses, it gives you quite an insight.
Sure, yeah, that's right.
So just going back to what you were saying about encouraging more jobs in the city to help get through this economic crisis caused by the COVID-19, and you were talking about stimulus packages to help the businesses stay afloat and to hire more people and create more jobs that way.
Yes.
What sort of things can the city of Perth do to actually create that stimulus? So are we talking about reducing any land taxes or like local shire rates for businesses, or what sort of stimulus packages can help?
I would think City of Perth is not the only organisation that can make decision. Of course, we will have to work with some other state level government departments. Probably land tax is one issue. And also another way is, first of all, how to promote and attract more people to come to the city. This is another issue.
Okay.
And you can lower the land tax to zero, but there's no one coming.
Exactly right. Fair point. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So moving forward as well. So as we were talking before, so some of the other issues that were coming up a lot was homelessness and drug and alcohol abuse. So what are some of the things that you can think can be done to ease the pressure on the homelessness side of things?
Well, first of all, I believe, for any particular phenomenon, you will have to find out the cause of it first. Now, why do these people, are homeless? And if we really provide them with a home, will they continue to do that? And because I see them, I've done some research. I believe there's some incentive for them to become homeless. For some of them, not all. Yeah, and I think sometimes, if I'm not wrong, it may, in some sense, related to drug use. Yeah.
A lot of homeless people I've spoken to, and especially down the Rockingham way, there was a little homeless community where they'd just camped out in the bush. And a lot of them wouldn't move from that area because they were very, very close to family. So all the homeless shelters and accommodation and services were all focused in Perth. So one of the questions that I have received on the Facebook, so that's on my own personal Facebook there, they've asked, is moving homeless services out of the city, is that something to help not focus the homeless people within the Perth City area, and is that just going to be pushing the problem from one area to the next, or do you think that's something that's going to be sustainable moving forward?
I think when we solve a problem, we will have to look at whether it's a long-term solution or short-term solution. If you have a bag of rubbish right in your doorstep and you try to put it somewhere else, when you look at your doorstep, there's no rubbish. But then the rubbish has not disappeared. It is just gone somewhere.
Okay.
So,
Okay, fantastic. And the other one that's really been pushed on my Facebook side of things for the ads and that is a lot of people, especially after like I said earlier, what happened with Lisa Scafidi, transparency and openness has been a very, very large issue. And as you've seen with Bain's having, I think, about $102,000 worth of donations that's been published on, and also with other candidates not really reporting very well. Do you think the corruption and the problems that we had with Lisa and the previous Lord Mayor and other previous councillors, do you think those problems have still carried through, or do you think that's something that's in the past now?
I think, to lie is a human nature, especially I read some books of psychology. And the reason of lying is is for self-interest. To combat this, I believe more stronger and stronger supervision is a must. To probably self-declaration and also penalty is another way to combat it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I flip things back a little bit? We were talking about the homeless issue in Perth, and it's a very important issue. And to be frank, I think it's probably one of the most important social issues we have at the moment. Now, currently, according to Health Department figures, 2 million needles are handed out per year in WA. 2 million, and most of those in the CBD. Now, that's pretty much one for every man, woman, and child here in WA.
WA has 2.7 million people.
Let's not play with the maths.
Fine.
It's a lot of needles is what I'm getting at. So, look, do you have a plan for that? I mean, that side of things. Do you believe that the Health Department might be, overstepping their bounds a little bit there with being far too free and easy with that?
Yes, this is not a easy question to answer. Let me think about it. I think what the motive of Department of Health to do it is correct, but sometimes something, if you continuously doing it without updating the situation, could cause problem. I think the people who apply to, first of all, I haven't received those needles before. I don't know how they distribute it.
Sure.
And then whether they need to apply for it, or just when you stand here, someone will come to you and distribute the needles. I'm not so
sadly,
sure.
Yes, they literally walk up to them and hand them to them.
I see.
I've heard 25 needles per person per day.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I haven't been able to confirm that, but that's what's commonly reported.
Okay.
Yes, I think this is not a policy, to help those who are in need. Rather, is oversupplying of needles for some people who don't need it, and they may use it to sell it or for some other purposes. So I think one of the way to combat it is, try to make it more stronger supervision, and then people will have to put down their IDs and whatever, and to prove they need it before they can be issued.
Okay.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, David, can I just take a moment, mate? A quick little break. And we'll, have a drink. A little word from the people who pay the bills and so forth, and we'll be back in just a tick on 89.7. It's 9:05. Smolloy with you. Oh, that's very sudden. Jeez. With you doing the old buttons here for Carter's Corner here on 89.7. I hope you're having a great little evening and being very, look, I was going to say entertained. That's not the right word. How about educated? How about informed? Let's go with that.
Informed's a good one.
I like that.
Informed.
Yes, I think so.
I have my moments. Yeah.
Sometimes, every now and then, except when you're turning everyone's microphone off and you're not meant to. But no, we'll let that one slide.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's all right. Yeah.
Obviously, Carter's Corner, we are here with David Ho, one of the councillor candidates for the upcoming, is it Saturday or Sunday, the election?
Saturday.
On Saturday this weekend, we're with David Ho live in the studio. So I have had a couple of questions come through on the text message. The first one was asking about the Chinese Communist Party, their influence in trying to, especially there's all these reports about what happened with Sam Deskatari, how they're trying to buy politicians. The person that sent through the question has said, does David, is he affiliated with the CCP, Chinese Communist Party?
Yep.
And does he know a gentleman by the name of David Zhang, who apparently is a part of, I think it's called the United Front, which is the Australian version of the Chinese CC Party.
Okay.
So I'll throw it over to you, David. Are you affiliated with any political parties or any foreign entities?
No, I'm not. Not even with the Australian party. I'm at the moment, no party.
Total independent, fantastic. Now, off air, we were talking about whether you knew Edward. Am I saying his last name right? Zhang? Xiang. Yeah. So you said you knew him as a friend, but you don't do any political things with him. Is that correct? For the record.
Yes, I have come to Perth nearly 40 years, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And during that early stage of time, I also met Edward.
Yep.
And he started his business, and he's, quite successful. But to answer your question, I have not been invited by him to join in any political activities. No,
Fantastic.
not at all.
Now, on your flyer, I have noticed that you're there, and I can see I love their pens. The Chunghwa Association, you're vice president, was it?
I was vice president the next year. After that, I was promoted to, elected to the senior vice president position.
Fantastic. So you do have experience dealing with large organisations, because for the viewers and listeners who don't know, Chunghwa Association is one of the largest Chinese community
yes, over
groups.
100 years now.
Yeah, so my mum used to do dragon boat racing, and
that's
so
great.
I was a Chunghwa member. Yes, I know I'm white, and I was a Chunghwa member.
It doesn't matter.
It's an awesome organisation. I actually got a lot of time for them, so that's cool. So, and now, Aaron's, we've had a text message come through on the 0418 897 897 text line.
Many, in fact. Okay, well, one actually was, of course, asking David about Edward, which we have covered, which is fantastic. There's a big bunch here. Let's have another look as they're all coming in. Let's have a look at this one. What have we got here? Okay, now... No, I don't think we wanted
Wasn't there one about voter fraud you were telling me about?
Oh, yes, yeah. We've got one about voter fraud, absolutely. What are your thoughts about voter fraud when it comes to the election? Well, obviously, it's become a problem, something that's prominent in America at the moment, certainly the conversation about it. Are you concerned about that being part of this election?
I think, there's a reason to be concerned, but so far at this stage, I don't see any hints or evidence for this particular election.
Okay, that's a fair call.
Yeah.
So, what's another question we got there,
Well,
Aaron?
I'm going through them right now. I'll tell you what, I'm clicking away, and my IT skills are rather fabulous. Okay, so no, that one I'm not going to go with either. Look, I will say this. I thank everybody for these questions. There's some fantastic questions coming through. Very, very insightful.
Just while you run through that one, Aaron, I've just had one come through on my phone.
Great.
It's going back to the Edward Zhang thing. Hi, Travis. Please ask David whether he has been sponsored or supported by Edward Zhang. I've butchered that pronunciation
Yeah.
of his last name again. So
That's
I do
okay.
Well, I
apologise.
want to be honest, and I haven't been sponsored by anyone.
Yep.
But because Edward runs a newspaper, Chinese newspaper called the Australian Chinese Time.
Yep.
And then he said to me he would, give me, the best position possible. But I still have to pay, of course. Yeah, I don't do it for free anyway. So
Okay.
he has helped. Yeah.
Well, just going on back on that transparency thing, so thank you for being honest. So that's all people can ask for.
Absolutely.
And knowing that they've got a counsellor that,
Yeah,
first of
that's
all,
true.
is going to work for their best interest and is going to be honest about all their dealings. So, and I think that's where Lisa failed, personally.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But there you go. Look, I think transparency is the absolute number one thing
Sure.
to focus on here,
That's
because
right. Yeah.
we've gone through a run here where we have lost complete faith in government. Look, there is, we're not going to play the conspiracy line here, but let's face it, we have a lot of very, very ordinary ethics going through a lot of government at the moment.
Right.
It's a really huge issue. And with what went on with the council before, Lisa Scafidi and others, we want to make sure that whoever is in those very powerful positions shows respect for the citizens of Perth and the voters, quite frankly. Simple
Sure.
as that.
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, Aaron, fire away with another question there.
Far away? No, look, I'm afraid the couple of questions here are a little inappropriate, so I'm not going to go with them. I think
For the ladies there, yes, I am married. I've got 3 kids, and no, I'm not on the market.
Oh.
But Aaron, on the other hand,
Yes, well, I am on the market, but quite frankly, it's probably something you'd find in Wu-Tang. It's a terrible question there. All right, mate. I think we'll have to give these questions a bit of a miss on these ones. We'll go with the fresh ones you've got. Yep. Otherwise, look, I think, would David like to sort of sum things up here and sort of talk about, what he brings, what's unique about you that you can bring to the role?
Yeah, this is a very good question. And I believe with my wide community experience that we mentioned about in regard to the Chonghua Association, and also, my character, I've been actually observing what the City of Perth has been doing over the last few years. And I believe that I'm a calm and, ability to listen a person. I want to have a fair go. Yeah. And if I'm elected, I will open my telephone line to anyone who will want to speak to me in regard to any, council issue.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I will jot it down one by one, and then if I believe that is necessary, I will bring it up in the meeting.
Fantastic. I have to admit, I have tried to get a hold of the Honourable Fran Logan in regards to the State Emergency Act.
Yep.
And it is absolutely impossible.
Really?
Receptionist, secretary, reception, we'll call you back. It's been going on for 6 months. So
It's a case of, you've got to contact their people who get onto their people and so forth.
Yeah, so
you just need some people.
To be
That's really
honest,
what it gets
for
down to.
David willingly opening up his phone number to be able to contact to
Says so
it
much.
is huge. So massive decision there.
I think that's necessary.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. I think that people need to know who they're dealing with.
Yeah.
I think, look, you would be in a position where, your influence on so many people and so many lives.
Sure.
So, I think that you should be reachable. I think that people who have an issue with council or whatever the case may be should be able to contact you and put their point forward. I think that's brilliant, mate. Thank
Fantastic.
I would
So-
like to, before we close, thank you for having me tonight, but I would like to have words of reminder. Because of the Australia Post, my understanding is that they only deliver letters 3 times a day, 3 days in a week, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 days in a week. So the counting day of the ballot paper is on the 17th of October, this coming Saturday. So we cannot rely, if you haven't, returned the ballot ticket as yet, we cannot rely on post.
Yep.
So people will have to personally go to the City of Council, City of Perth Council House, and then to deposit their ballot paper.
Okay, that's a very, very important point.
Otherwise, your vote cannot be counted.
So that's massive. So do you know the address where the ballots are No, that's right. We'll Google it and we'll find out. So for those who we are recording this, so it will go up on YouTube if you want to have a listen later.
Apparently, all ballot posts marked prior to the voting day should be counted. So that's something worthy of mention.
Must be,
So, but I think what we'll do, we'll try and get the address for the actual where you can vote, and we'll chuck that into the next segment. So let's wrap this one up. David, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the radio, and I have to say, he's got a really good radio voice.
Oh, tell you what, I might just give him a job, actually. If this doesn't work out, hey.
I was
got a gig.
I was the DJ on the Radio 6 EBA. It's a community radio.
There you go. So, man of many talents.
It's a community radio to broadcast news for the community. It's not for profit.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff.
Awesome. So,
all righty, we'll go to a song.
Yep.
Okay, have a little break then. Thank you again very much, David.
Yep, and we'll have Bain after the break. This is Carter's Corner on 89.7 FM. We have Di on the line, Di Bain, who is running as the mayor candidate and councillor candidate for the upcoming election this weekend for the city of Perth. Welcome to the radio station, Di.
Travis, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's phenomenal. So first of all, thank you very, very much for actually agreeing to come on to the show. I've put it out to all the candidates to see if they come on there. So thank you for actually accepting and coming onto our little community radio station. So what I'm hoping to do is create a platform where all the candidates across the board have the opportunity to put their story, their reasoning for running as a mayor forward. So the floor is yours. Di, tell us about yourself. Why did you decide to run for mayor?
All right. Well, first of all, I need to explain to you, Travis, that I cut my teeth on community radio.
Yes, you did tell me that when I was talking to you.
Oh, look, it can be very dangerous. I mean, you can do all sorts of injuries. I understand.
So, of course, when someone from community radio says, "Do you want to be on my show?" I would absolutely say yes.
Oh, so that's awesome. So I do thank you for it.
Yeah, no, it's great. You guys are volunteers. Our community, what makes our community great is people who want to volunteer and make it better. So to answer your broad question, I'm running for Lord Mayor because I want to restore transparency back to our city and a high level of integrity, and I want people to trust our city and ensure that good people who are community-minded, who come from a volunteering background, are there at the helm wanting to do great things on behalf of our broad church of stakeholders in the city. So whether they be people who volunteer on community radio, just like you, and myself when I started out, or whether it be people who are helping with homelessness, or people who are indeed homeless and don't actually have a vote in our city, or people who want to transform our city for the future, whether they be people in property, people in real estate, people in retail. I want to represent their interests and their needs, and I think I've got the commercial acumen to do that, and I've got a demonstrated background in delivering outcomes, whether it be for community, whether I'm the chair of Activate Perth, or business. I run my own business. I'm a principal of Bain Media, a creative and marketing company, or whether it be in government organisations. I'm a commissioner on the Board of Tourism Western Australia, and I'm a director of the Perth Zoo. So that's the reason why I think I'm qualified to run.
Not sure if you've got any free time. Wow.
I have to say, I did have a quick read of your bio. I didn't realise there was so many other things in there that I missed. So I have to say, in regards to the transparency side of things, I saw a couple of articles where you have been copying a bit of slack, especially from Channel 9 and the West Australian. But I have to say, from a voter myself, knowing that you're brave enough to say, right, this is how much money is being donated to me, I have to say, first of all, thank you very much for that. I have actually got the document there. I must admit, seeing that you've raised more money than Basil Zamplis, I think that's awesome. So one of the big things I've noticed, because I have trying to get ready for this show, I have been talking to quite a lot, walking around talking to people from the city of Perth. And so some of the major issues they've been talking to us, first of all, especially with everything that happened with Lisa, was the transparency side of things. I think you've covered that straight away. The one thing that I haven't seen you talk about yet is And a lot of people probably won't understand this. So when you make a donation to a political candidate or a local council candidate, not only does the candidate have to declare, hey, I received this money, the person donating the money has to also say, hey, I've donated this money as well. On the gift registry, Di's donations are 1 for 1 all the way down, absolutely perfect. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at page 5 and 6. There's quite a few candidates on there that haven't been as transparent as yourself. Do you think that's going to erode out the trust within the Perth City after what's happened with Lisa Scafidi, or do you think that's just poor accounting on the candidate's part?
That's actually a really good question. I haven't analysed the gift registry myself. Yep. I think that it'll be an issue that needs to be dealt with with the CEO after the election is completed. Because whilst you might accept donations as a candidate, maybe it's not so much of an issue when you are an elected official. And it's at that point that all those discrepancies might need to be dealt with. And I think there are fines that come with the lack of declaration, which are as they should be.
Yeah. Do you think the fines are severe enough to encourage people to do the right thing? Do you think increasing the amount of the fine, do you think that's going to be something to deter people from trying to fudge the figures?
Yeah, you know what, Travis? It's a really good question. I'm all about incentives rather than punitive measures, but what I've witnessed during this campaign is a whole lot of people, like, it's very easy to get around the gift policy. It's very easy to not declare. It's very easy to say, hey, don't give me the donation, give someone else the donation, or give my friend, or give this, or give my other family member, and then I won't have to declare it. Or, hey, no one's going to audit what we're doing, so I'm not going to declare it. No one cares anyway. There's no policing of it. So from that perspective, I think it's really concerning. And I think perhaps from a council level, we can be a little bit more, we can tighten that up or tighten that policy up. I'm not sure that, I think it's when you don't, when someone says, yes, I've declared and you haven't put that in, like the Electoral Commission or the City of Perth might come on and they'll tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, have you got your paperwork right? And you go, oh, oops, sorry. And then it's all okay. I think that's a little bit coy. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's very easy to do that. And there needs to be something that says, no, it's vital. And especially right now. Like,
it's definitely vital. It's very, very vital. So
yeah, and if you're a candidate now after a $7.2 million inquiry, after 2.5 years of no council, all this kind of stuff, and you're not being open, honest, transparent, I think the pendulum has to swing a very long way to the honesty and transparency side of things before people will be able to trust you.
Okay, and that's very well put out. Sorry if I feel like I'm cutting you off. It's just we are running out of time on the show. So
no, go for it.
And we do have other questions coming through. So the other big topics that I've been finding is cutting red tape for small businesses to try and stimulate the economy within the Perth community to create more jobs. And also homelessness seems to be the other really, really major issue that's going on at the moment. So let's start with the red tape in regards to small businesses. Have you got any ideas or any strategies in play which can assist in small businesses opening up, for medium-sized businesses to start hiring more people and just to get more, to kickstart the economy effectively?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to set up a business-led red tape reduction committee. So I want business people, small business people, to sit on a committee and come and tell the council about all the red tape that they're experiencing.
What about the green tape? What about the green tape?
specifically, like?
Well, just,
Are there any-
look, the EPA rules and that sort of thing and those sort of restrictions, I'm paraphrasing with EPA, obviously, but with those restrictions that...
we still have the EPA?
I've just forgotten their name, quite frankly.
It is the EPA.
There you go.
Yeah.
That essentially those restrictions that, do get in the way of business and small business in particular.
Yeah, look, I think in a city, when you talk about green tape getting in the way, traditionally it's probably been the Swan River Trust and areas like that have kind of got in the way. So, in the city we don't have large mine sites, or whether they be oil and gas or iron ore or whatever, but what we do have is lots of small rules around whether you can put a, alfresco dining set out the front of or a pot plant indeed, out the front of your cafe, or in terms of green tape, whether or not you can have a party barge on the river, and whether you can have a ferry on the river, and all these, or whether you can land a helicopter.
Interesting. Funny enough, on that point, I
right.
actually had a friend of mine whose business was destroyed because of that red-green tape when it came to the helicopter thing. So, yeah, look, it does
was your
affect
friend?
lives.
You put your foot in it now.
No, I'm not. Well, yeah, hello.
Transparency, Aaron.
Transparency, absolutely, yes. Well, his name is Brett, and it was about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know Brent. He used to work for the Apple Store, and he used to fly Robinsons. And I know
Brett. No?
Brett,
Yeah, not Brent.
and
Brett.
now he's living in Melbourne.
He was Sydney last time I talked to him, but he may have moved. You never know.
Small world.
There you go.
I fly helicopters as well, and I was familiar with
It is a small
bid, and I remember at the time, and it was in about 2017. I remember how overcomplicated it was. You talk about red tape.
Oh.
People were saying, "Oh no, you need to build a helipad on the river." But then beyond that, I think it was like a $21 million exercise, and then you had to do all these things, and then you couldn't let oil leak into the river. Let me tell you, if a helicopter is leaking oil,
You've got a
you do
problem.
not want to be in it.
Exactly right. Exactly
There's
right.
more two-stroke engines in the river leaking oil than a helicopter.
But it's a good example of green tape actually destroying business. Simple as that. And when we were having all the Elizabeth Quay work and all the redevelopment there, how cool would it have been to be able to jump on a chopper and go up to, over Kings Park, over to Rottnest, that sort of thing, what it would do for tourism. And now that was stopped purely and simply because of ridiculous government and local government red and green tape.
Well, and you know that we no longer have a helipad in the city.
No, I didn't know that. I don't have a helicopter
Yeah.
at home myself, so I didn't know that. But
No, and I don't either. But I'm an enthusiast. I'm a private pilot, and I love flying. And I go to cities like Vancouver, and
Cool.
I love the fact that you can jump in a helicopter and have a tour
Yeah.
of the city. And we used to have a helipad over at where Waterbank is now.
Mm-hmm.
And they got rid of that, and hence Brett's, pitch for his helipad, and it kind of became like this huge, big drama.
Yeah, it's only the one for
and-
Royal Perth Hospital, isn't it? That's the only one left, and obviously that's not for general pop.
Yeah,
So-
it's called over-egging the cake.
Yeah, very, very true. But one thing what I do need to quickly jump in here for, we, as Aaron likes to put it, need to pay the bills.
We do.
So we do need to quickly jump onto a few messages, as you will. So what we'll do, we'll quickly go to these messages, and then we'll come back in about a minute and 20 seconds.
Oh, that's very exact, my friend. It is-
Was it right? I can't see the board.
Oh,
so
look,
it's a
I'm
guess in the dark.
just not going to check. It's 21 to 10. Hope you're enjoying Carter's Corner on 89.7. I'm pressing the buttons for the boy on the other side, and that boy, he's a man. I know we've called him a boy a couple of times.
keep calling me the
I know,
boy.
I know. Well, when you're as old as I am, mate, everyone is, little boy or little girl. I mean, quite frankly, I'm ancient. It's what it is.
It's not my fault you're a fossil.
Thanks, mate. It's Travis Carter on the other side, Carter's Corner, and we have an illustrious guest. Would you like to introduce them once again, my friend?
We have Diet Bain, who is the mayoral candidate for this weekend's Perth mayor election. So welcome back to the radio. So before the break in the song, we were talking about helicopters and transparency and all that sort of stuff. But the other questions that we've been getting asked is in regards to homelessness. What's part of your strategy to help alleviate the homelessness problem within Perth?
Thank you very much. What I'd firstly like to say is I'm not much of an illustrious guest. I'm just I'm running for council. Cross your fingers. I might get up. I might not.
Oh,
But,
look, I'm likely to talk anything up, so that's okay, Ty.
There is no doubt that homelessness in our city is a major issue, and there should be no Lord Mayor in Australia that doesn't put homelessness in their capital city as the number one priority. We're a wealthy state. We're the only state that's, declaring a surplus. Yet here we have people on our streets. They don't have a roof over their head, and they're presenting in Perth because we have Royal Perth Hospital, we have the free transport network. A lot of people aren't originally from Perth. A lot of people, and this is the highest growing demographic or genre of person on our street, is women over 55. They're going through COVID, they're separating because of domestic violence, and they're wearing out their welcome with their friends, and they're landing on our streets. And you might not see them in your shop front, but you will see them in their cars and around the city. So I think what we can do is, as a Lord Mayor, I can show some leadership and I can understand exactly what everyone's story is. There's not a lot of stories. There might be nearly 1,000, and I want to know everyone's story exactly. I want to know why they're there, how they got there.
I have a question on that, if this is okay. I don't like gender politics. Simple as that. Okay, I do not play the game with genders. So I'm concerned that you say that when, if we're going to play the gender card here, 76% of people on the streets are actually male. Now, I don't have any less empathy for either gender. Simple as that. But I find that. Look, I find it an uncomfortable thing for you to bring up. I think that I think you should basically be thinking about people on their merits and caring for them and getting them off the streets and giving them the care that they need. And I don't think that we need to play that game.
I definitely kind of agree with Aaron on that one, but I think we should be focusing primarily on anyone who has children in their care who are homeless. I think people with kids,
without doubt,
should have priority. That's just this is my personal opinion.
Let me put it this way for you. When you see a woman on the street and you say, "Hey, I've got a tracksuit. Would you like to change? You've been in those jeans and that shirt for a while," and they say, "It's easier with a belt on to not get raped than it is with a pair of tracksuit pants on."
Okay. Yep. I completely understand that.
Deficiencies with women on streets that are let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I don't want gender specific stuff either. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you right now, there is more help for men in our city than there is for women, because women have traditionally not presented on our streets.
Okay, could I see some evidence of that though?
Yeah, absolutely. So go to the Salvation Army in the Beacon. Tell me how many. There is shelter for women at night for women who present in broken, and I'm speaking specifically in the city boundary. Sure. There's shelter for women who are escaping domestic violence, but there's very few beds. Okay. There are
if I can throw
more interim beds for men. St. Bart's, Salvation Army, these are the traditional places for men.
Okay. I'll tell you why I've got a particular level of sensitivity to that. I'm actually a male victim of domestic violence, and I found quite the opposite in the real world. So I don't want to, as I say, play the gender card. I think that, quite frankly, I don't care what gender you are. If you're homeless and you need care, you should get that care. You should have a warm place to stay, and you should be safe. And something that Travis said before about with children, I think that obviously people with children should have priority. Simple as that. So look, I just believe in equality very strongly, and I just don't think it should be something that's part of a campaign.
So I agree with you. I can see where you're coming from, but I would say you're in the minority.
No, I'm not actually, but I understand.
You're in the majority?
No, I actually know the statistics quite strongly, but we won't go there.
Yeah. Okay, so we both agree or all three of us agree, that homelessness is a major issue. So what are some of the programs that you're hoping to put in place to assist the people that are in dire need?
So the City of Perth is not the organisation that has the balance sheet to provide housing for people who are homeless.
For sure.
So people who are suffering homelessness and they're suffering issues will present in the city, because we are the capital city of Western Australia and we have Royal Perth Hospital. We have, lots of opportunities for people to find shelter, or a few opportunities. There's not a lot actually at all. We're a very immature city when it comes to dealing with people who are suffering from homelessness.
Yep.
What we can do is provide a safe night's sleep.
Yep.
And what we're seeing is people around the city who cannot find a safe night's sleep. And so they're presenting in shop fronts, they're in malls, places where there's CCTV. And that's the place, and they're creating their sub-communities, and they are in a situation where they're, they're feeling helpless, and they're feeling, very nervous about their night, and so they want to be somewhere where people can see them.
Okay.
So what we as a city can do is find somewhere for people to find a safe night's sleep. We can support the by name list, which is RUA. Manages this list at the moment, and there's not a lot of integration into the City of Perth and government. So we need to understand who are the people presenting, what's their story, why they're presenting, and what services are they applying for or utilising.
Okay.
And then from there, work backwards. Every business starts with the numbers. We as a city need to start with the numbers. And from there, I think what we can do is integrate with our outreach services to provide that interim support, and then beyond that.
I thoroughly agree. The fact is that, yes, it is if you obviously are successful and you get this right, I believe that's your position to provide temporary accommodation. It's certainly not to, cure the world's ills. I think that we've got other levels of government that should be doing more for homeless people. But as a temporary measure, I think it's very commendable, quite frankly. There is a flip side to everything, of course, and I've actually got a question here from one of our listeners, from Peter, who lives in Northbridge. Now, I'll again paraphrase as much as I can. Now, obviously, Peter can see that you have a lot of empathy for the plight of homeless in the city of Perth, and we all do, let's be absolutely frank with that. But are you aware of the plight, these are his words, of the plight of the rate-paying citizens who are affected every day by the antisocial behaviour and the criminal behaviour and that sort of thing that's happening in their doorsteps? Do you have sort of any plan to work with that to improve it for the ratepayers in the city?
And as a ratepayer myself, I absolutely empathise with it, and it's kind of the reason why I put my hand up to run for council, because I thought I could make a contribution. So I think we can trial a shuttle bus service and help take people to the services that they require. And I think that we can support business. At the moment, what we're seeing is the balance is all out of whack. Perhaps it's to do with COVID, perhaps it's to do with more entrenched issues around the brand narrative for the city of Perth. But we're seeing more people who are sort of suffering issues and mental health issues, homelessness, etc., presenting on our streets than we are seeing, I suppose, families and normal people that that are dealing, engaging in the wheels of commerce in the city. So I think we need more people living in the city. We need a larger population of people who not only engage in the city but live in the city, being in the very core of our city. And I think residents are the future of our city, and that's how we'll start seeing. And we need our economy to be a lot better than it is as well. And there's some things we can do with that, and there's some things we can't.
So do you have any sort of plans in mind as far as really proactive things that will create tenancies for business, small business particularly in the CBD, that will improve that living standard, so that, literally if you do live in the centre of Perth, you can pop down and get a coffee on a Sunday, Yeah,
sure. So what I think we need to do as a city is recognise that we are no longer the retail capital of Western Australia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And beyond that, we need to invest in people and residents. But what we can be is what we offer that no suburban shopping complex offers is entertainment and activity. We've got all our institutions here in Perth. We've got the art gallery, the museum, the Perth Library. We've got our open air malls. And what we can do is invest in our performers and our artists to make our city streets sing and make them come alive. And if you think about Skyworks, I know everyone raves about Skyworks, and it's probably political suicide to talk about doing anything with Skyworks. But around the world, except for Disneyland maybe, people are looking at more environmentally alternative ways of doing Skyworks, even Sydney. And we as a city, we spend $2.8 million a year on Skyworks. And what I'm saying is that my ratepayers, aside from maybe a few hotels, but everyone else is saying we don't get value for money. If you put that down to if you basically do the math, it's $50,000 a week. Imagine the amount of performers and artists and concerts you could have on the streets of Perth every week of the year.
Could we just grab ourselves a commercial partner to pay for it?
Well, we could do that, although at the moment, if you talk to anyone in the event industry space, they're frustrated. But there's no reason why we couldn't do everything in parallel.
Yep.
In the event of market failure, this is where government should step in.
Definitely.
And I'm not a socialist. I'm not someone that says let's just pay for everything. I'm someone that says when there's market failure, we need to step in. We'll prove the model, or we'll prove up the model, and then we'll become. Let's think about New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Frenchman Street. It's one of the most famous streets in the world. It's on people's bucket list to go there because you get the most talented people in the world performing on those streets.
I cannot agree with you more on that one, Di. I have to, unfortunately, keep an eye on this clock, and I would love to keep talking to you, but we are very rapidly running up close to 10 o'clock tonight. So, Di, it's been absolutely stellar. In the last minute 50, can we get you to wrap up and try and convince the last people listening why should we vote for you over everyone else? Go.
Oh, wow.
No pressure.
Vote for me. Sorry, I'm walking out on the street now.
Okay.
Vote for me because I am someone that represents community. I've been a volunteer for the last nearly 3 years in our city, but I also represent business. I've run my own business. I've got a creative marketing agency, Bain Media. We've done lots of things, including the WA Day long weekend. But I also understand government. I'm a commissioner. I sit on the board of Tourism WA. And the Perth Zoo, and I understand how government works. I have commercial acumen. Don't be naive. Choose wisely. It's not going to be all about me. I think those days are over. It's going to be about the team and the CEO at the City of Perth, who's a can-do woman, and going to be about the community who wants to actually. Everyone loves Perth, and I think collectively we can do really cool things.
Oh, I played it earlier. Heaven is a place in Perth, right? Yeah, I played the song.
God, you're cheesy.
I haven't heard that. That's actually really good.
You were so cheesy.
Oh,
man.
it goes back to many, many years ago, 20 odd years ago. I thought I was going to open a nightclub, and I thought, let's call it Heaven. Heaven is a place in Perth. I'm a sad man, but never mind. Yeah.
All right, Di, you
Still
have
time.
been...
There's still time.
There is still time. If I just knew someone who was really good at campaigning for cash, great.
So, Di, you have been absolutely stellar. I cannot thank you enough for coming onto the show. Also to Bruce and David Ho for also coming onto the show. So make sure you guys either get your ballots in ASAP or head into the Perth City to put your votes in. It's this Saturday. So best of luck. And again, thank you very much for coming onto the show with us today.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely our pleasure. Thank you very much for that, Di. All right, before we go anywhere, mate, I think you should just wrap it up if you could. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to tell me about how you think your first show went with Carter's Corner.
I reckon it was hilarious. Very stressful. biting my tongue here. But I think it's been brilliant, and I can't wait for the next one. And I'm looking at this big red number counting down. I do need to quickly point out that
Very quickly.
On the 24th of October, we've just had a message sent through. Picnic for Rally, Health and Liberty. So that's out Parliament House Gardens, West Perth, Saturday 24th of October from 11 a.m. to 2. So there will be kids, pets welcome, and also entertainment, live musicians from 11